Okay, this here is a clip of the recording from Alaska State Trooper Gordon D. Young. And you'll see he's suddenly talking to me after the interruption where he edited the tape. There's a missing part to the tape. It's a whole conversation. And then right in the middle of the conversation with me, he jumps in saying, oh, and this is on a different point or something like that. But anyway, you'll hear it. It's right after he edited out the entire conversation before that. So he'll yell, Charlene. You'll hear an airplane suddenly overhead. And then you'll hear a Honda start up and go. And then he'll be talking to me. And along with me was Jerry Coffin. And Jerry Coffin, you know, he said that in court, that he was standing there with me when the trooper was talking to us. So this is where the evidence was tampered with. So what I want you to do is pay attention. I'm going to play the whole thing once, and I'm going to take it back to where the interruption is, and then I'm going to discuss a little further what you've heard. So here goes.
Hi, guys. Good? Yeah, I'll be up in a minute. Oh, wait a minute. So tell me about something unrelated. Did you buy like a throwing or snow machine from Tom? Yeah.
Okay, that was me who's talking about purchasing a four-wheeler from, and nobody begins a conversation with, oh, and this is on another point after walking down the street yelling hi at the kids and all that stuff. So, to avoid a perjury trap here, because, you know, I had this stuff down my throat after they altered these tapes to make it look like I was lying. That's just one of the main places that's missing information. It's been suggested that it was a pause, but it's not a pause because Olympus says it can't be. I got a hold of the text. We talked about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the place where the most obvious tampering has happened, and then we'll move on to the next thing. So right about here, let's give her a try. This is audio of Gordon D. Young. This was taken at Norvik on the 17th of July, 2011. 7/17/11. And let's have a couple more listens.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute.
Now, obviously, you heard the aircraft suddenly overhead, and you heard the Honda start and disappear. But if you didn't, just listen again.
Oh, wait a minute.
Okay, now we'll go from here to, well, not there, but to here. We'll go to the first image, and that was recording. That one there was from Trooper Gordon Young. The other trooper recording at the exact same time was Trooper Chris B. Bitz. So that's what I want to get out of the way there. I want to just let you listen to that. Just know what's going on. Know that that's where the most evident alteration is. And you'll see with Trooper Young missing a total of 11 seconds from his recordings between the time of actual recording and what was on there, and Trooper Bitz also missing time, as in 5 seconds, from the same recordings of the same incidents on an entirely separate Olympus DM10 DSS recorder. But first, couple more times I'll let you listen to right where this major alteration is right here. And he's suddenly talking to me.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. So tell me about something unrelated. Did you buy like a throwing or snow machine from Tom? Yeah.
Okay, well, so much for that guy. So, how do I know this is altered? Well, number one, I was there. And we had a conversation. And Jerry was listening also. And my wife walked away. And that was about the time when Trooper Young had apologized and said he was sorry about that. And I think he kind of said something. I'm pretty sure this is what he said, but I'm not going to swear to this at the moment. But pretty sure he said how things can get crazy and how he has to write the reports and guns get drawn and people get shot and all this other stuff. And, you know, it's true because the incident was initially about firearms. I didn't take that any other way. But what I couldn't figure out is why he would cut that out. And I think what he did was he had to cut out the apology. Because troopers don't apologize, I guess, when they assault 17-year-old girls. Okay, on to the next thing here. Okay, here's one thing I'd like to say is this is how the troopers obtain their recordings. They go from their pocket, which is a DM10 DSS recorder. Evidently, they put it on a dock, and then they do drag and click. So let's look at this. And it would be Trooper Crispy Bitz they were talking to. And when he was answering my lawyer at the time, my public pretender, who I really know didn't do me very well. Anyway, I'm kind of mad at him. So yeah, he was a public defender. I couldn't afford anything better at the time. And basically, you get what you can't afford. So anyway, the trooper says, I can't remember all of what she was saying. Okay, he says, during the contact, did you start your audio recorder? Yes, sir. Could you describe what was a triggering event when you actually started the audio recorder? After I was a couple of seconds behind Trooper Young as he escorted the 3 people out of the public safety building, and I exited the public safety office and was walking towards him when I turned on my recorder. I don't think excited is what he was looking for. It's probably exited. So 122 says, how does a recorder work? Basically, I have it in my vest pocket, and it sits right there, and I have a record and a stop button. It's a stop and a play button, and just reach in and hit the record button. Red light comes on, and let it record. Okay, the question was, normally do you introduce the audio recording? That's all kind of irrelevant. This is what he would do. Yeah, I don't have that. Okay, did you do this in circumstance with the hailstones? No, I didn't do it at the time. It was pretty abrupt, you know. As it was, things happened fairly quickly. During the incident, did you listen to the audio recording of the incident? Yes, sir. How many times do you think you've listened to it? 6 or 8 times. When you say you've listened to it, what's the process from the point where it's actually recorded on your device to being transferred to some sort of media? So that's from the recorder in his pocket to... How does that actually work? I bring it back to the office. I've got a little dock for my recorder. I plug into that. The program pops up and says basically import all audio. I'll import it all onto the program and then from there put it into the corresponding report files that I have. This is all on your computer, or is this on a hard drive or some storage media? It's on my computer. All right, what's the process for transferring it from your computer to a hard drive or some other place? If you're transferring it to a hard drive, I didn't then, but I've since gotten a backup hard drive. So he doesn't have a backup to this, right? I just drag and drop the files wherever you want them backed up on the hard drive, and then it copies them into the hard drive. How did this recording get into circulation within the troopers? What was the process? And Trooper Crispy Bitz says, I was requested by my lieutenant to make a copy of my audio and send it in. There's been a suggestion that you've altered, deleted, manipulated, somehow changed a recording from that incident or from your time in Norvik on July 17th. Uh-huh. Oh. And then he asks Trooper Bitz, did you alter it in any way? No, sir. Do you know how to alter recordings? That is, cut out parts, add or delete any things like that? No, sir. Well, I would say he certainly did. So wouldn't that be like the second time he lies? Is that part of your training to manipulate that? No, sir. You said you've listened to your recording 6 or 8 times. Is that right? Yes, sir. Do you actually believe that the recording of the incident actually accurately reflects what happened between you and the hailstones? Yes, sir. Well, that would be like probably the 3rd time he committed felony perjury, in my point of view. And I'll continue to show you why. This is Trooper Young, by the way, and he's being asked the same thing. Question. There's been suggestions that you have somehow altered, deleted, manipulated the recordings that you made. Is this something that you did? No. Well, that's perjury. Not to mention a lot of other things he said, but if any of this is untrue, then this is a lie, and he would know it. Saying no and knowing it's a lie, because the question is, did he delete? Did they manipulate? Did they alter? Well, let's carry on, because I will show you that they truly have been. Okay, so we will go on to Okay, I contacted Olympus, and I want to know about the DM10 DSS DM10 recorder. So here I am talking to them. I wrote to their Olympus tech, and I said, I'm in question, perhaps you can help. If I am recording with a DM10 DSS, or an Olympus DSS DM10 recorder, and if I am actively recording and say 1 minute and 20 seconds, I have hit the record button, pausing the recording and restarting the recording, would there be a space in the timestamp, or would the timestamp simply resume in 1 minute and 21 seconds? Any answer would be greatly appreciated, especially if you can give me some detail or an example in such an answer. They came back with the people who make and obviously know their stuff that they make. So it says, thank you for contacting Olympus Technical Support. No, there would not be a space in the timestamp. The recorder would simply resume recording at 1 minute and the 21 second mark, and even the previous recording in the same file with no gap, as soon as you press the record button again. You hear that? No gap. This can be done multiple times, so even if you are recording different things, for example, people talking, it may seem as if they are responding or talking to each other, even if they are not in the same room. Yeah, on, off, on, off, on, off. I can see that. So, to finish the recording and close, press the stop button. This will close and save the file. Before that, the file is in a temporary memory and could be lost if there's a power loss, for example. If you require any assistance, please reply to this mail, leaving the complete history intact. Okay, so I said, thank you for the prompt response. I have 3 more questions if you can answer. I would be in a better position to understand what makes the difference between actual time, recorded time, and the timestamp's time. If a pause is made, would that affect the actual time recorded on the timestamp recording time? My example would be that an audio recording has a timestamp, say, that shows 3 hours and 20 minutes of recording, but the actual overall time is 3 hours and 9 minutes. So would that show that way because a pause of 11 seconds was made, or would the pause not affect the true recorded time? If I record 2 separate recordings into one, would that show a difference between the actual time and the timestamp of the recording I was making? And what reason, or if any reasons, that the timestamp would vary from actual recordings? Again, any and all answers are much appreciated, and I sign that because this is from my emails. So what I wanted to know was, how would we have differences between time recorded and actual time if there's missing time? And we're going to get to the missing time part. But they answered me back. They said, no. There would be no space in the timestamp. The recorder would simply resume recording at 1 minute and 21 second mark and add to the previous recording of the same file with no gap as soon as you press the record button again. This can be done multiple times so that even if you are recording different things, for example, pardon me, that's the answer to the first one. Let's go for the answer to the second one. Okay. Oh, I opened the wrong one. This was the one I wanted. You are very welcome. It says right here. See, because here's I have 3 more questions. If you can answer that, I'd be in a better position to understand. And this is their response. You're very welcome. To answer your question below, the answer is no. What you're referring to as a timestamp is not the same as a time elapsed. The elapsed time recording, total recording time, is not affected by the time of a pause, regardless of how long it is. So a pause cannot be the reason that there is missing time between total time recording and actual time recording. Okay, so here we carry on the letter here. It says, it is almost as if the recorder does not know it has been paused. In your example, the file says 3 hours, 20 minutes recording. It would really have 3 hours and 20 minutes, even if it was paused for 11 minutes. And it would not be deducted from this recording time. If you record 2 separate recordings into one using this function, only you know that they are different. The recorder thinks the same recording and the elapsed and recorded time would be the same as the time displayed or showed on the screen. The timestamp or the date would be created, different file lengths and recorded time, and they would vary depending on the time that elapsed after you press the record button the first time, pausing the recording, and press the record final time to close the file. At that point, the time of creation can only be used as a reference when the file was created, but it would not be accurate to say that this is the exact recording time, even if the recorder has the correct date and time set. So if you stopped it and paused it and stopped it and paused it, it's only going to know that you started at the starting time. But the fact is, it's not going to lose any overall time between total recorded time and actual time. And we have a problem there. Not only with one trooper's recording, but with both troopers recording. I think they conspired together to get to alter these tapes, and I'll show you further why I think that. So we're at the end of that letter, and we'll go on to the next letter just to get some more general information here. This was the recording, a copy of the recording that I sent to them, and I wrote them a letter, and I wrote this. Okay. Dear Edward from Technical School. Okay, I wrote here. Hello, I would like to know if while recording the DM10, if this recording, how large, whoa. How come this is funny? Oh, I see. It's because I have this up. Well, there's our recording, right? Shit. Let's leave it there. And go back. How do I go back? Oh, there we go. Whew. Okay. Huh. Says right here, I would like to know if while recording on an audio on a DM10 recorder, if I should pause the recording, how large would the gap in recording information be at the point I resume recording? Would there be a gap in information? Can you provide me a screenshot of a point that a recording is paused and the point the recording resumes? That would help a lot. And I attached this. They responded with this. Oops. Okay, thank you for contacting Olympus Technical Support. If you press the pause button while recording, then resume recording later, there is no gap on playback. You will hear the section up to the pause point and then immediately hear the section after resuming. Before pause, after pause. This is missing information right here, and I'm going to come back to this very graph here after a while because this is missing information. This is no recorded information whatsoever, and this is what a pause does. So, they also got back to me. He says right here. Oh, this is what I wrote. Okay, my concern was a gap in recorded information on a recording. Please look at the attached image of recorded information, and in your opinion, is it a gap in information caused by a pause button? It caused when the pause button is pressed while recording on the Olympus DM10 recorder. Would this be the point of two recordings and a point and a port edit? Any and all help would be appreciated. And this right here, 2018-051 is 2018-054. What the heck we got going here? Let's preview this baby. Pretty sure that's what it was. Oh, I see. This one just didn't finish. Okay, 2018-051, 2018-051. I get it. All right, it's all good. It's the right one. It says here, hello, Edward. I apologize for the confusion. I did not notice the attached PDF on the original email. While it's impossible for me to know what could have occurred to create the gap as displayed in the graph you supplied, I can say that the pause function on the DM10 cannot produce this type of result. So the state's idea of this being a pause is completely blown out of the water by Olympus themselves. This we can confirm with further investigation. I can say that the pause function cannot produce this type of result. If the pause function was used, there would be no gap. The graph would look something like this. Not like this. I can't think of any setting, control, or functionality of the DM10 that could create that type of gap when using the integral microphone or the remote control microphone that was supplied with the recorder. The only thing I can think of that possibly create a gap with no signal, as shown in the graph you supplied, is if there was a third-party microphone attached to the microphone jack, and the microphone had some type of mute function or an on and off switch to the mic. Or if some other audio source or line out functionality was connected to the microphone jack and that audio source was paused while the DM10 was recording. I guess it could also be caused by using some type of software to edit the files. I hope this is helpful. Regards, Jim O'Neill from Olympus Tech. Thank you, Jim O'Neill. These here are forwards. Okay, let's get one, maybe two more of these out. There's our page we were just talking about. This is a screenshot. Right here, screenshot shows a lack of recorded information. This here is a gap in information that is right there where you hear the aircraft suddenly overhead. This is at that point in at 1 minute 13 or 1 hour 13 minutes 49 seconds into it, and we have a gap, a huge gap in information, and we have a missing 11 seconds and from one trooper and a missing 5 seconds from the other trooper, and he was suddenly talking to me and he was changing the conversation. I mean, you all heard it, you'll hear it again. So let's carry on. Okay, so my next question was this. Shucks. Contact information. What did I do here? This one has 4. Okay, that's from them to me. Oh, thank you for the prompt response. Oh, this is renaming them. Now, where is my original? Does it click out? Dear Edward, thank you for... Well, let's see what it says. Thank you, Edward, for contacting Olympus Technical Support. Olympus recorders are not designed so that the file names can be changed while still on the recorder. So, any renamed file was not renamed on the recorder, it was renamed on a computer. The Olympus recorders are not designed so that the file names can be changed while still on the recorder. I'll say that twice, right? The file naming structure in our recorders is designed to prevent file overwriting or file loss. As a result, the files must be named ID a very specific consecutive manner. I believe that means in a very specific consecutive manner. Very specific, very consecutive. So in other words, they're like 1 number, 2 number, 3 number, 4 number. The question originally was, on an Olympus DM10 recorder, I want to rename a file while it's still on the recorder. Is this possible? Also, if I duplicate and rename a file, will it have the same download time as the original recording? And the answer would be great. Well, of course, they came back with Olympus recorders are not designed so that the file names can be changed while on the recorder. So they come out of their pocket, they go on the dock, they put them on the computer. So I said, thank you for the prompt response. Just to be clear, on a DM10 DSS recorder, I have, say, numbers 1 through 10 as files. And on the recorder, rename, say, the 10th file and have it as number 11. Can this be done on that type of digital recorder? I'm curious if I would have to have the files transferred to a computer, then rename the files there. All of your responses would be a great deal of help. Whew. And he responds with, he took my question and responds with, no, this will cause a problem with the file allocation counter. Okay, we can't renumber them, can't rearrange them. So right here we've got, see, if it transferred onto computer, yes, there is no problem renaming the files once they're copied on your computer. So we can't have pauses because the pause feature, we can't have gaps because the pause feature won't allow it. We can't rename them on the computer. It has to be done, on the recorder. It has to be done on the computer. We can't rearrange their number of them because they are while they're on the recorder. We have to do all the editing, anything we want to rename, rearrange, duplicate. All that has to be done on the computer. So these things are being downloaded from their pocket recorder into the computer. And that's what it takes so far. Well, I think we'll stop this one here since we're this far, and we'll start working on number 2.